want to talk about what we know Tom Brady has done and sort of how out of control this has gotten. Many people thought he got the suspension, this is over and done with. Pat, let's talk about this phone for just a moment. Tom Brady had submitted 10,000 emails. He was deposed for 10 hours. He did what his employer asked him to do. Separately, hold on.
They wanted all of his emails. It doesn't matter if you support the one, if you give them the ones that don't say anything. They wanted the ones that said something. They wanted the smoking gun, not the one that had been wiped of prints.
Pat, let's turn to you. Could one argue a cell phone is your personal business? You own a cell phone. We're entitled to our professional life, our private life, even our secret life. And if you're Tom Brady, your brand has a much greater reach than just what you're doing on the field. People would love to know your private business and the things that could be in your cell phone.
No question, Stephanie, and again, thanks for having me on. One thing I will say, I went through the 20-page report that Roger Goodell put forward, and it's very clear, and it's been clear for the last several months. They did not ask for the phone. They actually told Tom Brady's lawyer, you can handpick the information that uses basically a good scout's honor to pick the information from that phone. So they did not actually want the phone. They allowed his agent to pick the information from the phone. So the fact that he destroyed it, Stephanie, on the day that he met with the Wells investigators, boy, that looks really suspicious.
What? So he actually destroyed it? And by the way, your private life being your own, that's great. But if you're an athlete who gets paid tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars, when you do something at home, like beat your wife or use a racial slur, listen, Stephanie, when you're a celebrity and you use a racial slur in your private home and your girlfriend tapes it, when it gets out, that still has an effect on your public life and your career. So and the same is true of Tom Brady as is true of the owner of a basketball team.
Hold on, what'd you say?
I said just ask Hulk Hogan about that last comment.
Okay, but then let's go back, though, to the business of Tom Brady. Whether or not he should or shouldn't have destroyed this phone, Matt and I will argue, whether you have the right to. What does it mean for the business of Tom?
Well, frankly, I think that he's actually hurting his case right now. I think that if he had just come out from the beginning and admitted to whatever the NFL wanted him to admit to and publicly apologize and not drag this out for as many months as we've been at this point, we would have gotten over it eventually. But now there is a real hurt to his brand that he's going to see. And it's going to be really interesting, not just in his existing endorsement deals, but in the deals going forward. Once he retires, he's only got a few more years left in the league. Is anybody going to be wary of picking up him as a new sponsor?
But what if he should have admitted to something? What if he admitted to what he's already done? He's basically said, I didn't do this, but I'm the guy who, quote unquote, is the star of this team. I'm going to take one for the team. Punish me. He admitted that much.
He did admit that much. And I think at this point, what we've seen is there have been reports, for example, that the NFL offered to cut his suspension in half if he had just, kind of admitted to not cooperating and knowing about the deflated footballs and then apologized. And if he had just kind of taken that deal, then I think this would have been over and done with. Now we're going to see this drag through the courts, and it's going to be really interesting to see, especially what Under Armour has to say about this, which is one of his major sponsors.
Pat, what do you think about this? I mean, the fact that he destroyed his phone, do you think it's a big brand herder? The things that could be in his phone between he and his buddies, he and his wife, could be damaging to his overall reputation as an all-American athlete. But what do you think he really would have been texting to the guys who watch his jockstrap?
Well, if we look at his brand value, his endorsement value, it's actually not as large as you might think. You look at Peyton Manning, for instance. Peyton Manning earns anywhere from $13 to $15 million a year in endorsements. Tom Brady is between $4 and $7 million. So I don't see Uggs, Under Armour, Modavo, his biggest sponsors, dropping him at this time. But I also don't see anybody new coming into the fray, which is really kind of interesting because here's a guy that last year won his 4th Super Bowl, tied with the most ever with Terry Bradshaw and Joe Montana. He's an all-timer. So it is going to impact, I think, in the next several years, whether he's going to be able to get new endorsers. It's not going to happen.
Well, by the way, we're looking at live pictures here of Patriots training camp. Tom Brady's not down there, although I'm sure he has special privileges and only has to show up like once in a while when it's photo session time. But look, Kavitha, let me ask you, I don't believe that his brand will be hurt this much because the Patriots seem to have this knack for bouncing back from getting caught cheating. They were videotaping other teams' playbooks. I mean, that is down and dirty, and nothing happened to them. They're allowed to stay in the league because Robert Kraft is so powerful. I can't believe that Goodell is going through with this, but Tom Brady is still great looking.
You can't believe
He's
what?
I can't believe Goodell is pushing forward with this. He's
Well,
got such a winning record. He's got a supermodel wife. You know, look at this guy. I mean,
he is one
The
hot
reason
tail.
that Goodell is pushing forward with this is because of the resentment of the favorability that Robert Kraft has received in the past, especially with something like Spygate. So you have the other 30
Is that
owners.
fair then? Is it fair to say, well, maybe I didn't hit you hard enough in the past, so I'm going to punish you now?
No, and frankly, I think it's pretty rich when Robert Kraft comes out yesterday and kind of indicts the league's disciplinary process when he's played such a role in shaping it. But going back to Tom Brady, you know, more than destroying the cell phones, what's really going to hurt him in his endorsement deals, which again isn't actually that much money. I think he's maybe made $7 million a year from endorsements, is the fact that he's suing the league. Nike's official deal with the league is up in 2017, and Under Armour is going to make a huge push to get into the Big Four for apparel, to be the official apparel licensor. So if they're really looking at making a deal with the NFL, do you think they want to have a guy who's suing the league on their payroll? I don't really think so.